Hi, and welcome to week 13 of English Linguistics 315. Today, what we are going to do is we are going to get into the Semantics Lab section. But before we move on, I wanted to talk a little bit about the linguistic courses on offer for spring of 2020. So if you are a linguistics minor or you are interested in minoring in linguistics, come and talk to me or send me an email about it, and I'll be happy to talk to you more about what is required. But these are a couple of classes that are on offer next semester, and I will see a couple of you in linguistics, English Linguistics 317. That's history of the English language. So if you're a secondary English ed major, this is a required class for you, and I only offer this in spring, so do make it a point to take it next spring. It's offered on Mondays and Wednesdays at 12:30, and there are other classes that are also on offer, but Linguistics 668, Field Methods in Linguistics, is a new class that I'm teaching, and that's on Wednesdays at 4:30, and we will be working with a language consultant of Swahili, which is a language that's spoken in Africa. So it's going to be a very exciting class. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have on any of these classes or the linguistics minor. So let's get on to the Semantics Lab section. Your first exercise, I have given you what propositions P and Q stand for. So P stands for the proposition, the weather is getting colder, and Q stands for the proposition, it will snow. And so what I want you to do is I want you to look at the formulas that I've given you, 4 of them, and I want you to translate these into natural English sentences, right? So this will give you familiarity with reading symbols. It will also give you familiarity with converting formula in propositional logic back into English sentences. Once you do this, I'm going to give you the reverse of this to do. So this is basically, I've given you English sentences, and you have to break these down into different propositions. So like P, Q, and R, so 3 different propositions because there are 3 different sentences. So identify the sentences. Remember that propositions are always in the positive. That's something that I want you to remember. And convert each of these sentences into propositional logic, right? So the opposite of what we just saw. Once you do this, then you go on to practicing your truth tables. And so I've given you some propositions that are joined together with logical connectors like and, or, etc. So you want to do each of these separately. If you're a math major and you're comfortable with truth tables, by all means, you can just do everything in just one go, right, without having to redraw all the truth tables again. But if you're not a math major and this is the first time that you're doing logic, then it's best that you start to do a separate table for each of these formula. This will again give you practice in reading symbols. This will give you practice in truth tables. So it's a really good thing for you to kind of practice. And the last thing that I want you to do is to kind of test for semantic equivalency. Again, I have a couple of different formula over here. For each of these, what I want you to do is to create a table for each of the formula and then test which of these formula are equivalent to each other, right? So there could be that 2 of them are equivalent to each other and some other 2 formulas are equivalent to each other. So that's what I want you to do. All right, and I will put up this PowerPoint in the weekly activities as well so that you have access to these. This is just a walkthrough, right? And the last thing that I have on this lecture slide, if you are not a secondary ed math major, just ignore this exercise. This is not for you. This is not something that I'm going to ask you in the finals, but I just wanted to put it in here. If you are a secondary ed math major and you are, wanting to do something a little bit more interesting than just solving for truth tables, I have this question for you, and I also have the solution at the end of it. So if you are not a secondary ed math major, like I said, ignore this exercise. All right, this is not for you. Okay, I will see you in the next lecture.